So I've had a very crappy week, and that's why this video is super late. Anyway, so this is episode 3, I believe, of the Bachelorette recap. Nobody asked for my opinion, but I'm gonna give it to y'all anyway. So we get 2 group dates and a one-on-one. I'm pretty sure that's like the format for basically every episode. So the first group date is Top Gun. Well, let's run this back. I missed like the very beginning of the episode, like the first 5-ish minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, because, it was election day and they kept interrupting throughout the whole episode. Anyway, so the first group date is the Top Gun date. So they all pull up, and I've actually never seen the movie Top Gun, but let's just like roll by that. So I think Caitlin delivers the group date card or whatever, the date card. They read it, find out that it is a group date. So on this group date, we have Martin, LT, Olu, Spencer, Clayton, Nate, Joe, Rick, Will, and Peter. And the date card says they're headed into the danger zone. So, first of all, I saw a picture of all the guys in their jumpsuits. They looked so cute. But also, there were still some guys. I was like, who is that? Mainly being LT. Now that I'm reading, like, LT was on this date, I'm like, oh, that was probably LT. That I was like, who is that? So, yes, they pull up. They have the stars of Top Gun. I don't know who the white man was, but I know who Jaya Ellis is. Shout out to Insecure. I'm still hurt. I'm still hurt over Issa Lawrence. Anyway, so basically, they're in this like big, I don't know, wind circling thing. I don't know. They get in, they spin around, makes you all dizzy, makes you all nauseous. So the guys have to basically tell Michelle how they feel about her while they're spinning around. So like I said, there were interruptions. So I missed most of the guys, but I did get to see Rick's. I missed Peter's. I saw Will's. So when Peter was talking about, oh, he copied me, I was very confused. But then, shout outs to Twitter, I live tweet. They were saying basically that Peter spoke Italian while he was in his little wind turbine thing. And then, as you know, like we all saw Will speak Spanish. I'm like, okay, like first of all, Spanish, Italian, 2 different languages. How did he copy you? He copied you because he chose to speak another language. Okay, Peter. Speaking another language when you're bilingual is not uncommon. Like that's literally one of the things you do the most to stand out. If you speak a different language, I wish I knew how to speak a different language. I would be speaking a different language all the time to make myself stand out. Anyway, also, I think they get nicknames. So Will is Little Willie, Peter is Doughboy. Those are the 2 that I remember. Martin gets Frosty because it's Frosty Tips. Anytime I see Martin, I just think of like NSYNC. Like I think of that whole boy band era with the Frosty Tips. Anyway, so I'm reading. So yes, Martin gets Frosty, Will gets Little Willie, Peter gets Doughboy, and yes, those are the only ones that I remember. Oh, Rick's name is Tabletop. Okay, yes. I'm starting to really like Rick, and we'll get more into that later. I liked him since the Mad Libs, and I did I randomly predicted he would be in Michelle's top 4. He's making me think I might have been right about that. But anyway, so they profess their love in a G4 simulator. That's what it's called. They Professor 11 G-Force Simulator, like I said, Will speaks Spanish, saying his feelings, but Will says he's very sensitive to motion. He gets motion sick really easily. So he is literally like looking like pale, like I'm about to throw up. And so Michelle, like, she's like, oh, like, do you need a bucket? And he's like, I need you. Michelle was like, solid recovery. I also was like, solid recovery. I would have gave him the win too. Back up. Also, I did catch a little bit of Martin like pulling Michelle aside just to like check on her about like the events of the previous night and all the guys, you know, when she was told that all the guys were questioning her character, which I was like, okay, that's nice. But I'm also like, you kind of kicked that whole thing off. So now I'm like, you might actually really be concerned, but I also feel like you might be like trying to cover your tracks so you don't get sucked into this as well. Anyway, yeah, I was kind of just like, okay, but he like started the whole, like he was the first one we saw bring up, do Michelle and Joe know each other? So, and I feel like he brought that to Jamie, and then Jamie started this whole thing. So I feel like maybe if Martin never said anything, he just kept it to himself, that wouldn't have happened. But you know, that's just me. So I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of cool off Martin. Like, he can go home next week and I wouldn't be sad. Anyway, so, and then also we see Clayton. Clayton's like, I gotta prove myself. I gotta win this date rose. Like, we can see they're giving him the Bachelor edit, but I'm getting nothing from him. I'm feeling nothing from him. Like, we do get to see him talk more, and they like he gets more ITMs. I'm like, oh, he's like a cute man, I guess. He's generic looking white man, but he's cute. But I still have not seen anything that makes me be like, oh yes, he should be the Bachelor. And according to my timeline, no one else thinks that either. So again, I feel like he's just like, it's a Katie moment. Like, we need to fill this space, so we just gonna pick someone generic that we know, like, people will just like, they'll find something to find in common with them and like them. So like we said, we get a tiny bit of personality during the night portion of the date from Clayton. He's really trying to like sell it. They're really trying to give us a Bachelor edit. But you know, we still see Nate and Michelle. They have such amazing chemistry. I think I might watch, like, if it was just 8 episodes of Michelle and Nate dating, I would be okay with that. Like, they have such good chemistry and they're just like so cute. But anyway, we get to the drama. So obviously in all the trailers we see a jacket in the pool. This is finally the episode we see the jacket in the pool. So Will wins the G-Force challenge or whatever. So he gets a jacket. The jacket has like a rose on it, blah, blah, blah. It's a really cool keepsake for the, just really cool keepsake for this time here, like to commemorate his time on The Bachelorette. And so obviously Peter is mad and jealous of Will. So Peter feels some type of way. He thinks he copied him, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, insecure white man shit. Anyway, so they're at the night portion of the date. And obviously Peter and Will are arguing again. Ridiculous. Just ruining the mood. To the point where Olu like got up and was bounced. And then I think, who else? Like, was it? No, because Casey was on that date. But anyway, everybody basically was like, oh, I don't have to sit over here. Once they saw Olu got up and bounced, they're like, okay, then we're not sitting over here either. And then we see an ITM of Rick like, I'm really tired of going on dates with Peter. That was the funniest thing to me. I didn't see anyone bring that up. And I was like, poor Rick. He did get stuck on the last group date with Peter as well. That sucks. And I think Olu as well got stuck. That's why Olu was like, nah, I'm not sitting here for this again. And he bounced. So Peter Will going back and forth, and Nate is just sitting there, like he's like minding his business, trying to like zone out, but he's also like, you can see he's like listening. Nate has the best reactions. Like, shout out to all the people who like screenshot and post all his reactions when stuff's going down, because it's hilarious. So Nate's just sitting there while they're going back and forth, and he's like drinking his wine, and then Will goes to talk to Michelle, but he leaves his jacket behind. I'm like, why would you leave your jacket behind? So basically, when he goes to like talk to Michelle, leaves his jacket behind, Peter gets up, he goes, he tries on the jacket, obviously because he wants to be Will. He tried on the jacket, then he goes, takes the jacket, and throws it in the pool. So the jacket is just sitting in the pool. Mind you, everyone is sitting there watching. Like, they didn't say like, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. Hey, maybe you should stop. Hey, don't do. They sat there and watched him walk over to the pool and throw it in the pool. So then I think Peter goes to talk to Michelle, I think, or Peter goes somewhere, I don't know. Will comes back and he's like, do you guys know where the jacket is? And Nate's like, they're all just sitting there quiet for a minute. And then Nate finally speaks up and is like, yeah, Peter threw in the pool. And, you know, shout out to Nate. He really was like trying to like, he coached Will through it. He was just like, bro, just chill. Like, don't say nothing. Don't do nothing. I promise you, you will come out on top. Like, you will come out better for it, which was great advice. But I get it. If I was Will, I'd want to go off too. But he played it right. And, you know, everyone was like, oh, he's crying over a jacket. He's crying over a jacket. No. Like, I'm one of those people, when I get angry, mad, frustrated, I cry. So I would have been crying too if I was Will. He was crying because he couldn't punch Peter in the face. He was not crying because Peter threw a jacket in the pool. Like, to be honest, throwing a jacket in the pool doesn't ruin it. You can just wring it out, dry it off, wash it. It's good as new, right? So, like, the jacket is fine. He was crying because he could not punch Peter in the face. And I feel for him because I've been in that situation. You want to punch somebody in the face, you want to cuss them out, and you can't. So you just cry. But it really did bother me that none of the guys said anything. They kind of just they didn't say anything till after, because after just like, do you think that was a good idea? Like, what if Michelle finds out? And then Peter was just like, stay out of it. We all in it because you ruining the mood of the date and the house. So like, I get, they were all trying to like basically keep their hands clean of the drama, but I'm also like, can you really just sit there and watch this happen and say nothing? But, so, I get it, but I'm just like, ugh. And it's like, would I have said something? I don't know. Because then you don't want to get pulled into the drama and end up getting sent home as well. But can I watch someone sit there and get their property destroyed, especially a man of color? Like, this franchise, like I said, I'm new, but this franchise does not do a good job protecting people of color. Like, the producers sat there and watched that white man throw Will's jacket in the pool and said nothing. Anyway, so first of all, and Peter showed up to the night portion with the tied-over sweater like he was Carlton from Fresh Prince. Like, he looked awful. I really think he was a producer plant. Like, I think he was a producer plant like Victoria was a producer plant. Because y'all saw on Matt's season, she had her bra out. She was dressed horribly. She didn't have makeup on. I feel like Peter was the same way. Just acting crazy. Like, producer plant, not there for Michelle at all. Literally there just to like cause drama and make a name for themselves so they can become an influencer. Anyway, or build their little businesses. Anyway. So we go back to the house And we get another date card for the one-on-one. And Rodney gets the one-on-one. I was so excited. First of all, I don't appreciate Malik talking trash about Rodney. That's exactly like Rodney was like, I'm the underdog. Like, I'm not the tallest. I'm not the cutest. Blah, blah. It's because people like Malik who be talking crap and hating on Rodney. He's a very sweet man. Anyway. So, like I said, Rodney's been growing on me. I liked him when he pulled up in his little apple costume. And then, like, I think he really got me when he did the blind taste test last week with Michelle. So I'm like, I'm excited that he got the one-on-one. And they had such a cute date. Basically, their date was all truth or dare. So they started off with another blind taste test. So he blindfolded Michelle and then fed her food. So it was so cute because he blindfolded her and fed her pizza, but she was like, to me, it's pizza, but to Rodney, it's lasagna, which last week, if you watched last week's episode, she blindfolded him and fed him pizza, and he asked her if it was lasagna. So it was like a cute little callback, those little like cute little moments. And then you see they like were handcuffed together and they had to like open the boxes to find the keys. And then you had like balloons in one box. You had the ball pit balls. It was just like a really cute, fun date. And then we get to the best part of the date, the truth or dare. And one of them had to streak in the lobby. And we all know Michelle's the Bachelorette. She ain't streaking. So we all knew, even Rodney knew when he read it, Rodney was finna streak. And I love that Tayshia and Caitlyn were like, they were, you know, like, it's funny. The whole show, you just see them like in the background, like peeking out, like trying to see what's happening. And he stripped down naked and Tayshia was like, oh my gosh. Oh my God. And then he starts running around. You know, them men been locked in their rooms all day. But you know the producers went knocking on them doors talking about, come out, come out, come out, as soon as Rodney started running around naked. I think it was funny because Olu was like, where are your clothes? Like, why are you naked? Oh, so that was hilarious. And it was fun and cute. And Rodney's so fun and cute. And I loved that, you know, like she was like, this was like the date to see, like, are they just friends? Could they be more than friends? So I was really loved that Rodney was very attentive to her. Like, anytime she talked, he was like facing her, giving her eye contact, like responding, like he was very attentive. And like, you know, he was sharing his feelings about his mom, you know, growing up, his dad wasn't really around. His mom was a single mom, and how much he admired her and how much she sacrificed for him. And, you know, he shared his fear of, like, you know, not being able to become a father or a husband, you know, before he leaves this earth. And I like that. And I really loved Michelle. I love that Michelle does not shy away from speaking about race, unlike someone else who shied very much away and ended up with a racist person. Anyway. You know, she talked about how her dad never had to really, you know, defend himself, that her mom was right there speaking out for him, and how, you know, they love to, you know, laugh together, and that, you know, she was in an interracial relationship, and, you know, she got called the N-word in public, and her partner, like, just tried to tell her to, like, just brush it off, and that you're giving that woman power. And basically trying to, you know, tell her, stop being mad, let it go. And I'm like, this is why I don't want to date white men. They just be real dense sometimes. Well, most of the time. Anyway, let's move on. So I really just loved their conversation. And I loved that she was like, yeah, he's moving from friend zone to like more than a friend zone. And she gave him the rose. She's like, she said apple-lutely, which such a teacher pun joke. And he like went along with it. Granny Smith has turned out to be my favorite. Okay, Rodney up there. I think Rodney might make the top 5. Okay. um. So then after that, we get the second group date card. And on the second group date is Jamie and Leroy. Finally, Leroy gets a date. Like, come on. They was trying to play my boy Leroy. So Jamie, Leroy, Chris G, Casey, Malik, Chris S, Brandon, and Romeo. Can they stop putting the Chris's on dates together? Because at the beginning of the episode, I still could not tell them apart. At the end of the episode, if you put them next to each other, I could tell you which one's the Canadian spoken word one. I can't tell you who the other one is. And I don't know which initial goes with what, but I could be like, that's the Canadian one. Anyway, and basically the date card says, I want a man who can express themselves. So again, another clip we see is Michelle on stage reading a poem talking about she's the last pick for prom, but first pick for basketball. Girl, if that ain't my story, I don't know what is. But anyway, we're jumping ahead. So basically they walk into his room and a black man is doing spoken word on the stage, and one of the Chris's, I think it's Chris G, is freaking out because he's like, this is one of my idols. This is who got me into spoken word, which I'm so glad they put him on this date because, you know, the producers be shady. They probably, like, I could see the producers leaving him off this date and then telling the guys to go back and be like, oh, this guy was here, and Chris being so mad that he missed it. So I'm really glad the producers did not do him dirty and leave him off this spoken word date. I was expecting, I believe it's Chris G, the spoken worders. I was expecting Chris G to win the date rose because spoken word is his thing. I'm thinking he's going to blow everyone out of the water. But I don't know, his poem might have blown everyone out of the water, but, you know, Michelle just doesn't connect with him as much, which is why he didn't get the date rose. But so basically they all get their journals and, you know, they're all supposed to write poems. And so most of the guys understood the assignment, or all the guys except one. You know, Romeo, he's so cute. I love him. Romeo, you know, he does obviously a Juliet pun, and he's, Chris G is a spoken word artist, so he did his thing. There was a line in there, but that didn't make sense, but it sounded good. Malik was in there. He was spilling out his heart too. I like that. Leroy, from what I read, was doing good. And then, so basically we get like a snippet of all the guys' poems, which they all did really well. And then we see Jamie. Jamie talks about he lost his notebook. I'm like, that room is only so big. How did you lose your notebook? And it's weird to me because I'm like, you just opened up to Michelle and on national TV about everything that happened like in your childhood, but you lost your notebook, aka did you not want to express your feelings in a poem? So then he gets up and he gives this weird speech about a girl who's lost in the woods, and someone's like, Jamie's giving this weird TED talk. Like, it was just red flags. It was red flags from the beginning, because in the ITMs Jamie was speaking in third person. And then you see on the group dates when they're like walking to go to their place, he's like doing these weird like dances, talking about, I'm cool, I'm fun, I'm just going to be the best Jamie. Red flags. Red flags. And so they get to the night portion of their date, and Brandon J and Michelle, they have really good chemistry too. I'm honestly thinking Brandon, Jay, and Nate are gonna be top 2, and Joe. So Brandon, Nate, and Joe, I think they're going to be Michelle's top 3, which would be amazing. 3 black men in the top 3, that would be history. But anyway, so Brandon and Michelle talk, and basically Brandon is saying, like, very much, oh, back up, forgot. Michelle says her poem, which is amazing. She's so talented. Like, even her poem was just, she talked about being the token black girl. She talked about being the late bloomer, how she used to feel like she needed to conform to the whiteness that surrounded her to fit in, and how, you know, she didn't start dating late because she thought it was her, you know, her being a late bloomer and her blackness. It was just, I didn't relate to the whole, like, feeling like the token black girl. Definitely related to the whole late bloomer, the whole, like, last for prom, first for basketball. Very, very relatable. But anyway, they move to the night portion of the date, and Brandon, you know, comes and he talks to her about how much he, like, related to being a late bloomer. Like, he says, like, he was 5'2" until his junior year, and then he grew to be, I think he maybe 5'11", 6 feet now, and he might be over 6 feet, which is crazy to me. I know if I was a parent and my kid randomly went from 5'2" to 6 feet, nightmare. You literally have to rebuy all the clothes. Off subject. Anyway, basically, and just feeling like he, basically, to sum it up, I think he was saying he felt too black for the white kids and not black enough for the black kids, and he felt like he had to choose a side, which very much relates to Michelle's story. So they connected on that, which I really liked. And then finally, even though it was 5 seconds, we get to see Leroy get some screen time. I'm going to need y'all to give the dark-skinned men some screen time, even though 2 of them went home. Spoiler alert, Spencer and Malik go home. So that's 2 of the dark-skinned men out of, like, the 4 or 5 that are there. But he gives her a kente cloth saying, like, this is just to celebrate you as a black woman. I wish they would have stayed on that so we could hear more about it, where it was from, if he's African. Do we get to ever know anything about Leroy? Anyway, or any of the other dark-skinned men that are on the show. Anyway. And then I'm trying to think about any one-on-one time she spent with anybody else. It's, like, not sticking out to me if she spent any one-on-one time with anyone else. So I'm assuming it's not important. Anyway. And so she gives the date rose to Brandon J, who makes history being the first man ever to get 2 back-to-back date roses. And I think just 2 date roses in general. I thought that was interesting too. Michelle just giving him another date rose. I was like, she doesn't want to, like, spread the wealth, but then you do want to, like, go with your gut and, like, give it to who you think you should give it to. Because her and Brandon really did, like, relate. And they do have good chemistry. So, I don't know. And she maybe doesn't want to mislead anyone by giving them a date rose and thinking they have a stronger connection than they do. So that might be why she was like, I'm just going to give this to Brandon again. But, yeah. And then we see bum-ass Jamie pull a producer aside, like, can I talk to you for a minute? And he is just talking a bunch of crap. Like, he's like, oh, it's a nationwide search. I thought my competition was going to be stiffer. Like, they can't compare to me. Y'all are on the same show. What do you mean they can't compare to you? You make it for the other people on the show that you're on. And then, what did he say? Oh, Michelle's on spring break mode. First of all, what did that even mean? And second of all, who said you were her husband? Y'all had 1 date. You think you're her husband after 1 date? He's like, do I really have to wait 6 weeks? Do you really think you were winning this? Like, this is why I said I was interested to see how Jamie would fare. Because he said he's never watched reality TV. And I knew, I was like, the producers are going to take advantage of this. And yes, the mic is always hot, baby. I knew the producers were going to take advantage of this. I didn't know they were going to give him the villain edit. but they giving him the villain edit. Like when they include footage of you talking to a producer or off screen and you're mic'd up, they trying to give you a villain edit. Anyway, like they did with Piper and Brandon. Anyway, or Brendan, whatever his name is. So then we moved to the cocktail party, which so annoying. The mayor election interrupted again, but shout outs to Twitter for filling me in. Basically, Rick gets some one-on-one time with Michelle during the cocktail party, and he's like, you know, he's just basically, he did what I was saying I wanted the men to do last week. Like when Michelle was like, does anyone have any questions? Does anyone have anything to say? And they all sat there like lugheads. Rick did what I wanted him to do, just one-on-one with Michelle, and was just basically like, no one is saying that. No one was talking about that. Like, who told you this lie? And Michelle, I love how real she is. She was like, Jamie told me that. Like, not even a hesitation to say who told her. But I genuinely think it's because she's like, well, I'm trusting these men, so he shouldn't have a problem with me saying that he said that if that's what really happened, which is true. And so this is why Rick is climbing on the favorites list. Rick was like, oh, Jamie told you that. So he grabs Dax Shepard, aka KC. I saw a funny meme. Someone was like, no, this is Dax Shepard. Y'all can believe he's whoever you think he is, but this is Dax Shepard trying to punk us, which is hilarious. Anyway, so Rick grabs KC. He grabs Nate. And I think it's just the three of them. And he's like, Michelle told me that Jamie said all that crap last week that caused an issue. And so I love that Nate was like, okay, like, you know, we're going to call him over here so he can defend himself. Like, I don't want to just sit here and talk trash. So they call Jamie over, and Jamie does what he does best. He talks around the question. Like, he's not answering the question. He's not making any sense. He's just talking, trying to fill in time. And so Nate's confused. Rick's confused, Casey's confused. And I love that Nate just like called it what it was and was like, are you jealous of Joe? Like, yes, because that's exactly what this had to be about. And so then I love that the guys all gathered up and they basically were like, Jamie did it. Jamie said it. Like, I don't understand why Jamie didn't think that this was gonna get out in the house. Like, I'm very confused at why he thought he wasn't going to get found out. Especially since last week he was walking around like, I don't know who told. I don't know who told. Who told? Anyway, so I love, yo, Casey and Rick had smoke for Jamie. Yo, Casey was like, because you won't answer none of the questions. Like, yeah, or it was Rick. One of them was like, because you won't answer none of the questions. And then I love that Michelle, like, you know, Michelle was like, it's weird vibes in here. What's going on? And they finally spoke up and they said, like, basically we all found out what Jamie said and he was lying. And then Michelle was like, so Jamie, do you want to tell everyone what you said to me? And then again, starts speaking in whatever language he was speaking English, but it didn't sound like he was just rambling. And Michelle was like, come on, let's talk outside. Listen, if Michelle says, let's talk outside, you ain't coming back inside. I ain't never seen her say, let's talk outside, and that person come back. Okay? So I was like, yes, let's talk. I didn't even want her to say, let's talk outside. I want to say, let's talk right here, right now in front of everybody, and then send him home. But, you know, Michelle's not petty. She said, let's talk outside. They go talk outside. And basically, he's found out to be a liar. And she's like, and I'm going to walk you out. You're going home. And goodbye, Jamie. So then, I think she can't, again, another canceled cocktail party. I'm getting sick of these like, can we get, like, oh, there are a lot of men not getting time. Can we stop canceling the cocktail parties? Can we do this drama before the cocktail parties? Anyway, so cancel cocktail party. We go to the rose ceremony. We know that Rodney already has a rose from the date. Brandon J already has a rose from the date, and I believe Martin got the first date rose. The first group date rose. So basically going home is Malik and Spencer, our two single dads. I believe they're the only two single fathers in the house. They're also two of the very few dark-skinned men in the house, so that's sad as well. LT goes home. I forgot LT was there. And finally, we get rid of Doughboy, aka the narcissist, Peter Pizza. Finally. It came down to it. It was Will and Peter and a bunch of other dudes left, and she gave Will the last rose, and I was like, amen. Now, would I have rather her given that rose to Malik or Spencer? Yes. I'm also like, when she called both, I was like, so we're going to keep both Chris's? Like, really? Keep Chris G. I don't know anything about Chris S. Nothing stand out about him to me. I feel like maybe it's a producer save. Like, she could have sent Chris S. home and kept Malik or Spencer. But yeah, so there we go with that. Also, I forgot to mention, like, the first group date, they were doing, like, the wrestling thing where they're, like, pushing people off. I was very surprised Joe lost to Olu. But that's random. Anyway, so I'm excited for next week. I think it looks like maybe Martin gets a one-on-one. I'm just still waiting for Nate to get a one-on-one because I know that's going to be the best date ever. And I'm really excited to... I almost thought she was going to send Romeo home. I want Romeo to get a one-on-one as well. But I think maybe Will is going home next week. Anyway, so those are my thoughts, my opinions. Hopefully I can get this video up before the next episode airs. If not, I'm going to be uploading these videos at the same time. But yeah, bye guys.